Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. I wish I could say that the truckers' convoy led to a positive outcome, but for the most part, I can't agree that it did. Yes, I do think it helped speed up removing many restrictions across Canada and other countries as well, because it did make big news and inspired other protests in other places, including the US, where it's still going on. And as you'd expect, the US convoy is getting raving support from the usual gang of Republicans, Trump, and Fox News. From day one, the Canadian convoy was compared to the US January 6 insurrection, a narrative that I think will contribute to building up the Civil War and separatist narrative down the line, a topic we'll leave for another day. The convoy has several red flags that I went through in another video, but recently I came to find out that someone with a sizable social media presence, who was supposedly a serious anti-vaxxer, may have just taken the jab. This is someone who supports the convoy all the way and also poses as some kind of Christian role model who had called out the mark of the beast and things like that. What caught my attention was that she recently traveled to the US for a conference, and we're pretty sure that no one can travel out of Canada without being vaccinated. I seriously doubt that she's connected to the point that she can bypass the mandate. When I asked about this, the response we got from someone in the field, let's say, was exactly this. The convoy is not about the vax, it's about freedom. I get that it's okay to be pro-vax or vax neutral and be anti-restrictions at the same time, but that wasn't the purpose of the convoy. The purpose of the convoy was to protest against having to take the vax in and of itself and having to take it in order to have or keep a job and access services. So if the convoy is about freedom and not about the vax, then why not just take the vax and get all your freedoms back and get on with life? This completely defeats the purpose. And what will they tell us, these Christian role models? That they prayed hard and received God's guidance to take the vax so they can grow to the next level of transcendence by traveling and spreading the message? These people are charlatans, and it's sad that many people listen to them. And it's not only fraudulent and fake, but it's also the poison pill to drive more acceptance of the vax and to dissolve the message of the convoy, which is already being ridiculed. And like I said, I do think the convoy helped speed up removing restrictions, but it's pretty clear that these were temporary sedatives. And if anyone thought that the COVID agenda was going to be stopped, then they simply don't know what they're up against. It's been about a month since the convoy at Ottawa ended, and we're already talking about Omicron BA2. And we're not just keeping an eye on BA2, that was already happening well before the convoy. We're talking BA2 like it's around the corner, with China already putting 17 million under lockdown, Europe reporting surges, and the US and Canada heading in the same direction. Oh wait, what's this? Oh, looks like we might be already here. They've been constantly saying that they will reinstate restrictions if they need to. And in all cases, they're still pushing more boosters and vaccines and doing all sorts of things to help this along. Some countries are even talking booster number 4, and we're back to talking about children's vaccines, which went on hold for a bit during the convoy. And they still didn't lift the mandates for travel and federally regulated jobs. To me, these two pieces are key. Talk is underway, but they're dragging their feet, and in the meantime, BA2 is surging. So you can imagine they'll pull off the same sing-song. We lifted the restrictions too early. I don't think they even feel they need to change their tune. I suspect they're timing the lifting of these last critical restrictions with the endemic phase of the virus, meaning when we just live with COVID like we do with the flu. But then the endemic phase probably won't kick in until we have the magical one-size-fits-all vaccine that can prevent all or several variants, at which point it's annual mRNA shots. This was part of the plan since Event 201, not because of the truckers holding the line. So the convoy didn't do anything really, except maybe help trigger the Emergencies Act. Now that was helpful. No one was suspicious of how long it took before the Ottawa protest was stopped. And of course, the organizers kept encouraging the protest because, well, that's the mission. No one concerned about Leach being associated with Alberta separatism, or Pat King pushing Hong Kong, or their brilliant lawyer telling protesters they can protest peacefully under the Emergencies Act. Apparently, he missed the part where it said that specific activities and impacts of the convoy were outlawed under the act. The act was invoked on the 19th day of the protest on February 14th, and although it was only for a few days, which I think surprised many of us, the consequences of triggering the act are pretty serious, and what we've seen so far is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Before the act, crowdfunding platforms were not in FinTrack's scope. Now they are, and they are permanently, and the change goes beyond crowdfunding to include all things digital currency. You see what's in the pipeline here, right? FinTrack passes on information to the RCMP, which is Canada's federal police, and they're the ones who enforce the freezing of bank accounts. So essentially, freezing bank accounts was to stop terrorism financing. And because some members of the convoy were flagged as extremist groups by Canada's intelligence service, their information was shared with the federal police once the act was triggered, and this opened the floodgates to freeze a much wider range of bank accounts. And although this was just for a few days, I think testing out this process was a key purpose of invoking the act. Plus, those that were deemed associated with financing extremism haven't been dropped even after the act was revoked. Revoking the act doesn't drop criminal and other investigations. The act also led to enhancing surveillance across the board, with several cities having installed additional surveillance cameras in preparation for the convoy. Cameras were being rolled out for traffic and crime surveillance before the convoy, but the convoy was an opportunity to add more cameras and speed up the rollouts. And right now, 5G is being rolled out across Canada more aggressively. Of course, this is to help with working from home and to bring internet to the less privileged. But an interesting implementation is the TELUS 911 Next Gen service. Here's what they tell us. From more precise location data to video and photo sharing and enabling connected devices to contact public safety services independently, NG 911 opens the technological possibilities for enhanced information sharing for first responders in the field. They also tell us, our world-leading 5G network provides the perfect environment to bring the future of emergency communications, Next Gen 911, to life, enabling the seamless flow of information, including text, photos, and video, to first responders, while facilitating vastly enhanced functionality in the future. This is just the beginning. You see what's happening here, right? Policing will be connected to the internet, part of IoT. Same deal at the borders. Enhanced surveillance is being implemented. And here we're seeing robo-dogs already being deployed at the Mexico border. So it's probably only a matter of time before this goes north to help with the USMCA supply chain restructuring, probably. The Coutts and Windsor border crossings are part of a much bigger plan. But that's for a little later on. Maybe first we get those digital IDs and wallets in place. And restructuring the police administration at Ottawa might involve a lot more than we might initially think. Deloitte appears to be involved with this, and I want to thank my online friend for bringing this up. This looks like a bigger dig, so I'll leave it for another day, but I will drop some links in the description for some of her really pointed resources. And another takeaway of the act is that some spaces are going to be repurposed. The square in front of Parliament Hill might become a pedestrian space, as some have suggested. This might be nice, but I suspect that such plans are part of a climate change and smart city planning strategy, all tying into data collection through surveillance. But people are still protesting as though it's the right strategy. If anything, the convoy is helping accelerate other items on the New World Order plan. For the Calgary protests, the local government was clear that they were going to be strict about enforcement and that protesters could face jail. In Canada, people who are jailed have to get the jab. You'd think protesters are almost asking for it. But wait, it's about freedom, not the vaccine, right? So maybe that's not such a big deal. This also makes me wonder if Leach and King were vaccinated because they were temporarily in jail waiting for bail. So let's get this straight. The convoy is not about the vax, it's about freedom. So if some folks have to take the jab because they land in jail, maybe that's not such a big deal. And they've lifted most restrictions. So, what exactly is the purpose of the convoy right now? And the answer is even less clear for the American convoy. It's almost like they decide on the day what they're going to do. It's just a festival with people getting together to sing, eat, and socialize. I've even heard from more direct sources that it's great to meet girls. And I'm sure the girls feel the same way. I partially blame such folks for not doing more to improve their lives and become more aware about what's going on, but I also understand what could be behind this deterioration, and we don't know for sure if damage hasn't been caused at the physical level to the point that some people can't even take charge of their own minds. But I think this convoy is starting to turn into the truckers' version of Woodstock. It's like the event of their lives, and they're going to look back on it and say, oh, we made history. We were part of the convoy. They'll hang on to the flags and the souvenirs they collected along the way, the videos, the songs, and everything. And at this point, they're just driving around all day burning fuel because apparently they can afford it. During the Canadian convoy, the money spent on YouTube streamers was just ridiculous. People were donating hundreds of dollars. You'd think they were throwing money at a stripper. These are the same people losing it over government waste. Instead of throwing money at streamers, why not help someone in need or give it to the homeless? These folks keep saying their communities are being decimated by all sorts of economic and political agendas, and yet they spend hours watching trucks honk while downing gallons of beer, and some people are out on the streets freezing to death. And people who can stream on YouTube all day and have a roof over their head are in pretty good shape. Let them donate their time and resources to the cause, and you give your money to people in need, to businesses who were hurt from the lockdowns, or to parents trying to get their kids off drugs. At least give away part of the money. And that's not to say anything of the millions that were raised to fund the convoy. I wonder what could have been possible if these people used that money to do something for their communities in the face of the lockdowns and mandates. The sad truth is that most people aren't serious about real change. Most just want to be entertained and cheer at something. And none of it will do much to get in shape, help deteriorating communities, or stop the New World Order. And also, most won't even comprehend that the convoy itself might be one big operation. At this point, many have been completely hijacked by this event, and I don't think these truckers for life will be able to backtrack on the failure of the convoy because the cognitive dissonance would just be too much, never mind thinking about different strategies. And in view of what's coming, I don't think they will pull through. Protesting is not a good strategy when it puts people so close to the jab, assuming that's even an issue at this point, and when it helps check off so many other items on the agenda. Remember, in Squid Game, the idea is to dodge the shot.